About 9 years ago, I quit university and got into sustainable living and drifted more towards sort of horticulture and food production, and then went travelling, lived on permaculture farms, came back and was sort of fortunate enough quite early on to be put upon this parcel of land because it's old family friends who own it, and it fallen into sort of slight disrepair because there have been horses here for years, and the horses, the last of them had passed, and so there was an intervening period, and then I sidled up, not really knowing what I was doing, having a lot of sort of theory behind me, but having very little practical experience. Yeah.
What did you want to do here? What did you set out to achieve?
I sort of wanted to have, it was sort of like perennial, so permanent crops, a mix of like trees, shrubs, lower herbaceous things and vine, sort of all intermingled in a certain way, and all manner of different systems going on. I didn't really know what I was looking for to begin with, but I started planting trees. And then, so it was sort of in the first year we planted the first winter we planted quite a few fruit trees around. And then about 18 months after that I thought about doing this micro market garden. And since then, different examples of sort of sustainable growing have popped up, different systems have come about.
Well, you've become quite an attraction to people using the path up to the canal bank, and you are beside the railway line, the main line to London too.
Yeah.
What was the intention once you started doing the market garden side of things? Was the intention always to open up and let the public in and sell to them?
Yeah, so there's a lot of the sort of sustainable side of hippy-dippy things where there's a lot of teaching involved, which gets people like a certain experience relating to alternative approaches to like food production and just general lifestyles. But I quite like the idea of, with the market gardening, I came across some interesting books, and it was sort of about cranking up production on a really small scale, producing a lot of food that people are familiar with, because a lot of the sort of perennial things, sort of the particularly green things, so like long-lived greens that you don't have to do much with, they sort of grow and keep coming, but they're a bit esoteric, people aren't very familiar with them, and so I thought, why not go for the sort of familiar and grow more conventional crops.
And you've been selling them to the public, and you will be doing that again this year?
Yeah, not sure quite when I'll be opening, but it'll be within the next month, by early May. But it's seasonal. It's all coming from here, and I've been doing loads of infrastructure work this year. So
you've certainly expanded, Nat. I notice you've got chickens, you've got ducks now, and even a beehive or two.
Yeah, so we've got 5 khaki Campbells. They're laying ducks, but they're mostly going to be hopefully for slug control, slightly, and just general good vibes because they're quite funny. They're hens. There's 25 layers. There's 15 of the hybrid browns, and then 10 of the leghorns, the white ones that lay white eggs, and they're in an electric fence mesh that I can basically move periodically. I haven't figured out quite the timeline yet, but it means that they'll constantly be building the soil, flushing the grass up, and then I can put them back and they feed off the grass. It's a nice little cycle. And then the bees was one of the landowners is sort of transitioning for me to have the colonies to look after them, which is great. Like, it's a nice inroad for me. I've already been there's loads of stuff already on the land that will benefit from the pollination, but I've also been sort of working on my flower gardens as well, just down here and around and about, for pollinators really.
What are you getting out of this? I mean, it's great that I've been lucky enough to have a day like today to come and talk to you, but
Yeah.
you must be down here in the middle of severe frosts or torrential rainstorms.
Yeah.
What's life like then?
Well, I mean, most of this is about personal sort of spiritual sustenance, or it was originally. I couldn't really envision myself doing anything else, and it is hard, but the alternative of a sort of more conventional approach to earning a livelihood seems harder to me, but that's mostly because of just like personal. That's how I'm made up. So it means that being rained upon for sort of a 10-hour day is fine. Yeah.
All part of the experience.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to pry and tell me to shut up and mind my own business if I'm speaking out of turn, but are you in a position where you can, as some might say, indulge yourself here? A lot of people might say, well, I'd love to do that, but I've got to go out and earn a living.
Yeah, it's true. So I've got a favourable rent, although saying that it's a really weird site. I live with my parents in the basement, so in some ways I've sacrificed my freedom on that side, which is more and more common these days. But the opportunities have presented themselves for me to pursue this, and if I can develop it into a proper livelihood that can be sort of systematically replicated. I've been working part-time on 2 farms for the past couple of years, which would be 2 or 3 days a week, and then sort of doing here part-time and selling on Saturdays. So it's not, it's like 60, 70 hour weeks for very little money. But that's partly because I'm trying to do loads of other stuff that's interesting to me and that I think is valuable, that I value sort of beyond monetary means. I'm working generally towards getting myself the living wage in the next couple of years. But it is difficult when you're of my sort of, my personality is quite calm and gentle. I'm not. I like the business side of it, but I'm not very hard-headed.
You're not ruthless, are
No.
you? You're pretty laid back. Where's this all going? Are you happy to do this for the rest of your life?
I mean, I'm only 27. I'm going to keep farming, growing, I think, for quite a while. And then as it gets to the point where I'm earning my own income and can facilitate someone else, sort of, that would be the ideal. But my perception is that it would sort of focus around working one-on-one or small business type thing, where you train people up over a couple of years to basically go off and start their own farm.
Maybe there's a book at some point in the future.
No, I don't. There's plenty of great books out there by people in this sort of sphere.
Now, you are a very modest guy who's achieved an awful lot here. I mean, I'm one of the people that go up and down that path, and I've watched this grow. As far as this season is concerned, you said you're not sure yet when you're going to open. The best advice to those who use the path is keep an eye on your gate. That's where the notices are.
Yeah, on the gate. We're on Instagram and Facebook, and I've got a website now as well, which is just undercliffurbanfarm.co.uk. But yeah, it will be within the next month, and I'm expanding. I've got a new plot on Salisbury Hill, so I'm going to have a lot more produce, hopefully a greater variety, and extend my season as well. But it's a lot of work.